Welcome to Richard Skills Modelling. This is the Academy's US Navy Fighter F-14A build. The scale is 1 to 48. In part 2, I'm going to be starting off the build, and I'll be starting off with the cockpit. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. The first thing I'll be doing, as always, is painting some items on the sprue. So my first colour is Revit Aquacolor 04 Gloss White. Now, this is one of the main colours, but at the moment I'm just painting in the landing gear base walls. So this is all going to be in white. I've decided in the end to put in the pilots. They're quite nicely moulded, so I thought it'd be a shame to leave them out. So I'm just using my knife here to get rid of any little burrs of plastic on the helmet of the pilot. To start off with the helmet, I'm using 04 Gloss White once more. And both will get the same colour of olive green 361 by Revit Aquacolor. And that's for the jumpsuits. And for the feet and hands, it's 06 Tar Black Revit Aquacolor. I should apologise for my head keep on getting in the way. I'm bending quite close down to these so that I can see what I'm doing. So my lenses that I use to see fine detail keep on getting in the way. For this visor, I'm using Revit Aquacolor 07 Black Gloss. These figures are nicely detailed. This is why I decided to use them in the end. There's a nice little ridge here for the e-paintbrush just to glide over and act as a guide. For one of the helmets, 34 Italian Red Revit Aquacolor. This is a gloss red that I'm using. And like the visor, it's well defined the area to paint in, so you shouldn't have any difficulty if you decide to do this. For the second helmet, it's 51 Ultramarine Blue. So this is painted exactly like the red one is, but it's just blue. Both masks are getting painted in Revit Aquacolor 39 Dark Green. I normally would have done this black, but the instructions are calling for a green. So I thought, well, why not? We'll see how it goes. The tube that comes down for the mask is 08 Black Matte Black by Revit Aquacolor. And again, that's on both the pilot and navigator. For the webbing, it's Revit Aquacolor 17 African Brown. It's debatable whether you should use this colour if they do actually have webbing. I would imagine these molds are just a generic pilot, but since they were there, I painted them in. May not be entirely accurate though. However, this is the last colour for the pilots before assembly. The assembly is fairly simple. It's just one arm and of course the head that has to be attached to the main body. And once more, there is clearly defined areas where these parts get attached to. And sometimes these pilots can be a bit difficult to line up, but I didn't have any problem with these ones. And it's back to the cockpit, and I'm using Revit Aquacolor 43 Medium Grey. This is for the instrument panel as well as the side walls for the actual cockpit itself. Later on I will be putting it a little bit of a darker colour to bring out the details. I should point out though, the decal sheet doesn't come with the decals for the instrument panel. So if you want a detailed instrument panel, you're either going to have to buy a photo etch part or try and paint them in yourself. For the seats, I'm using Revit Aquacolor 67 Greenish Grey, and this is just for the actual cushions of the seat. I'm using Revit Aquacolor 06 Tar Black, and this is for the various little levers and things like that throughout the cockpit. For the instrument panel dials, it's Revit Aquacolor 07 Black Gloss. And these are all the little switches, the dials that I'll be putting this background colour into. Then it's Revit Aquacolor 76 Light Grey, and this is for the horizontal line inside the control panel. And then lastly, for the instrument panel, it's 05 White Matte White Revit Aquacolor, and this is for the needles and highlights on the instrument panel. Then it's over to Revit Aquacolor 74 Gunship Grey, and I'm using this colour just to go over the raised areas to highlight them. I was thinking about painting in more detail on this, but you really won't see it that well once it's inside the cockpit. So just a bit of definition to show you it's there, I think, is enough. And then it's Revit Aquacolor 12 yellow. This is for the eject ring pools. I've already painted it black when I had the black paint out, so I'm just painting in the little stripes. Next I'm using Tamiya's Weather Master Series E, and I'm using the grey component here. And this is just to highlight the raised areas around the base for the landing gear. Before I assemble, there's a little canister thing that I have to place on. I didn't know what colour to paint this. In the end, I done it in a grey colour. I can't for the life of me remember what colour I actually painted this in, but I think it must have been a medium grey. So to assemble these, it's just 4 walls together. The location points for these are fairly defined, so it was an easy assemble. One end does taper down slightly, so I had to make sure I was getting this assembled in the right direction. On the back instrument panel, there's a little control stick that gets placed on right in the middle part of the column. That was quite tricky to fit, just purely because of the size of it. It was a very small part. To assemble the seats, it was fairly straightforward. The side walls, it was 08 matte black by Revit Aquacolor. These were a little bit awkward to fit also, just because of the shape of it. The top of the seat comes in towards the back panel in a curve, so that was quite difficult to get everything lined up properly. The ejection part of the seat goes over the top. That fitted in perfectly. There was no issues there. And once the seats were dry, I was able to place in the pilot and navigator. Now, both seats are the same, so it doesn't really matter which one you place in. And again, like the instrument panel, there's no decals for the side of the seat, so if you want all the labels and everything to go on there, you will have to either paint them yourself or get some extra parts for it. So now it's on to the bay for the landing gear, and that gets fitted in at the bottom of the cockpit. It's an awkward shape actually to fit in. If you're doing this, you'll be wanting to dry fit this before you get it in position. Needless to say, it's got to line up with the bottom of the fuselage. There's an argument could be made that you can fit this once you place the main unit in, but having it all together in one piece, it does help the whole unit to slide in, but it can be a little bit tricky to get everything lined up. But once I had done that, it was time to put in the seats. These go hard up against the wall, and then I placed in the control sticks and instrument panel. The instrument panels go in such an angle, it looks a bit strange at first, but it rests against the backing plate that's molded into the plastic, so it's difficult to get the angle wrong. It just doesn't look right when you first put it in. To place in the pilot control stick, there was not a lot of room at all. In fact, I couldn't really get it to fit, so I had to trim down the stem of the control stick and then cement it onto the actual pilot itself to give the illusion it was there. The reason for that is the mask pipe that comes down the body was going into the slot where the control stick is. So if you want the full control stick, you would either have to trim the pipe from the mask that runs down from the face to the body, or do what I did in control, cut off the control stick and then just cemented that to the body. And once I was happy with that, I was able then to secure the pilot into its position. Again, it goes on hard against the back part of the cockpit, and then I was able to place in the front control panel. And that's the main assembly of the cockpit done now. And lastly, all that's left to do is to apply a wash. So I'm using Humbrol's dark grey wash on this one, and just liberally applying it to all the areas. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit that like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.